Open Muss and Miller Lite at Duke's Pizza Pub in Oakdale this Thursday from 5 to 7. Stop by for drink specials, games, and register for your spot in the Vikings Foundation Golf Tournament. Your chance to potentially get in. Full details, KFAN.com, keyword golf.
Second hour in front of us here now. Nordo in for PA, Vocal Maintenance Edition on a Monday, a President's Day. It's a holiday. If you are working, thanks for joining us. If you have the day off, awesome. Enjoy it. I got 2 of my 3 kids in studio here, just absolutely terrorizing the place, and that's fun. So we're going to jump on the phone lines here. Alec Lewis, who covers the Vikings for The Athletic, at Alec_Lewis via X, joins me now. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Nordo. I'm good. I'm wondering what you're going to ask me about. It's kind of all quiet on the Western Front until the Combine next week. But, yeah, no, it's good to be here. Spent the weekend in Duluth, first time in Duluth. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Duluth's beautiful, isn't it? Did you got down there by, like, Canal Park and all that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we were doing some bar hopping on Saturday. So if you'd called on Saturday, it would have been a tough one probably, but yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed it.
And this is kind of the short breath of air for you. You mentioned it. I mean, there aren't a lot of breaking news bits that I have for you this morning. I do have some topics, Combine related, team related, etc. We can find our way to talking about Vikings football, but really this time of year in particular, post Super Bowl, pre-Combine, save for something that nobody would anticipate or expect, it's super chill right now on the NFL front.
Yeah, this has been a very much needed reprieve, refresh, whatever you want to call it, after what was obviously a very long season. I think this goes for everybody, not just journalists who act like they work in the coal mine, but really just type on a computer all day. And I think people internally, too. I just think it was a really long year. I mean, you go back and think about the week 4, week 5 trip overseas and the amount of energy I think that took from everybody. So, yeah, it's nice to have a 2-week break, but the NFL is sharp. They structure these things every offseason to where there's not that much breathing room because it keeps the NFL in the psyche of everyone. And that is what this league has done as well as any other in all of sports is they have mastered how to maintain the radio space in terms of this league. So the Combine, then free agency, then the draft, you know how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
It's not slowing down really anytime soon.
How much do you enjoy, or maybe we'll start with this, how productive is your Combine experience? Because, I've seen it on the radio side. We have really, really fun shows, but sometimes it kind of looks more just like a party as much as, more so than anything else. We never even get into to watch the players or the athletes themselves going through the various drills and tests. We're just connecting with people trying to fill radio shows. And there's a lot more, might you say, recreational activities and gatherings than there would be necessarily people getting down to business. But for you who cover the team, how productive of a week in Indianapolis is it typically for you?
Yeah, I would say, one of the most productive weeks of the year, certainly. And, for someone like me who has only been covering this league now for 4 seasons, as much as anything, it's a chance to meet people. It's a chance to connect with people that you've met via phone, call, or text, in person. And just to kind of, explain it a little bit. You have the entire NFL world in a span of 5 blocks at different hotels. And that is executives of teams, that is agents, that is, literally anybody and everybody, referees. You see everybody, head coaches, coordinators. And so, what most of the days look like is just a weaving back and forth between different hotels and working in some capacity to catch up with people that you get to see typically in person once a year. And there's reporters there too. So it is such a productive week. It is one of my favorite weeks. It is definitely an exhausting one, given some of the late nights. But in covering this league, part of the opportunity to get to talk to people about I mean, A, their experiences, and B, the way they view the landscape of the league in the year 2026, it's a blast. And then obviously there's so what are the Vikings going to do? What are their plans? All of that component to it is fascinating and even more interesting when you have now it's some major questions to be answered, and a different structure in place leadership wise to answer them.
Yeah, the other cool thing so you're taking it from the standpoint of what you do for a living, which is incredibly productive, which is why I put that out there for you. But then on the radio side, just to give you a peek into things, there's always this other, right? Like Indianapolis, maybe other than Vegas, is like the most built for convention city that I've seen.
Yeah.
And they have the entire combine going on. You mentioned the NFL universe. And then there's just like some board game convention 30 yards away that like Charch disappears for 36 hours into. Like it's crazy how much is going on in that space, and it doesn't always feel that way.
Yeah, it is funny because in the ballroom the convention center, where a lot of the Radio Row is, you're exactly right. Like you will have like a business executive meeting over like in one ballroom, and then you weave in the other one, and you got Nick Sirianni walking with Big Dom, and you're like, all right, that's kind of how it goes. Then you walk 10 paces one way, and there's Drew Rosenhaus talking to ex-client, and then you go this way, and there's Roger Goodell talking to Molly McGrath. I mean, it literally is it's silly in that vein. And you know me, Nordo, like as much as I take this all very serious, there is a part of me that just sees that scene and just is like chuckling a little bit internally of the absurdity at which it is. But, you've got some reporters, and this is this is probably a further peek behind the curtain, but you've got some reporters who like what they do is they will set up shop in a Starbucks in the middle of one of the hotels, and they just sit there for 10 hours stopping people all day. Then you've got other reporters who you see scurrying back and forth. I mean, my feet end up hurting by the end of it because of the amount of walking that you do. So yeah, it is a once in a kind of situation for how this job goes, but wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, you got multiple dinners scheduled. You go from here to there. You're not eating. Are you eating? I mean, it is. It's pretty indescribable. And I will tell you this, and I hope my editor's not listening. Like, I have never been inside Lucas Oil Stadium to see a 40-yard dash. I have no idea. It is just it is a work social opportunity, and that is how I treat it. And the bench press reps, I'm going to get those on the number online later. Yeah,
they'll give you a copy of it, and you can read all that at a different time. With the Vikings contingent, since you began covering the league, it's going to look a little bit differently this time without Kwesi in the mix. Rob Brzezinski kind of head manning things. Matt Thomas now part of the mix. What do you think this group, or how much sifting through just what that functionally is going to look like moving forward as soon as next week in Indy?
Yeah, well, I'll say this, like typically at the Combine, you have in the last few years for me, like you rarely see Rob Brzezinski, and part of the reason why is he has been one of the primary communicators with agents and representatives to kind of establish some of the lay of the land for what's going to happen in free agency. So while, whether Rob speaks to the media or whether he doesn't, I imagine his role within it won't change much other than probably leading the staff in conversations to kind of target their plan throughout the course of these next few months. I'm glad you brought up Matt Thomas, because I was speaking to somebody in the league last week, and they made it pretty clear to me. They're like, do not kind of wave that one away in terms of the meaning behind adding him, this long time salary cap with Seattle as a consultant to help out with the Viking staff. And the reason that person said that was, one, just a positive review of Matt's work, but it was also having someone like that working in tandem with Emily Battis, who also works with the Cap and has worked with Rob Brzezinski closely over the years, will allow Rob Brzezinski, to really take kind of a global leadership view with, organizing this entire team and how they want to approach it. And it allows him to have someone he trusts working within the space that he knows best. So I thought that was interesting from someone, who would know these things, to say something like that. And I will just be very curious to hear how they talk about what the last few weeks have been like.
Yeah.
And just to kind of hear the vision from everybody. It's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I had asked a couple of people, and I just, not being as close and as plugged in as you are, I just asked the people that I know. And they kind of made it sound, with Matt Thomas and his time, I was just kind of curious because I think I painted this picture with you a week ago or so when we chatted about it, a couple Fridays ago. Just kind of the idea of, can he bring a little magic from John Schneider, the Seahawks GM, and just what they've done over there, obviously hoisting the Lombardi, and bring some of that to Minnesota. And, what I had heard is just he's kind of like, he was so much like the Brzezinski in the fact that I don't really have a lot to say with that. Like, I just know the finished product was always good, but he was never front and center on anything. He just kind of back in a room with an abacus and a 10 key, just hammering out deals and just being a cap wizard. And that certainly sounds like a stabilizing force here now with some things in flux.
Yeah, and what I would say is, even with Rob Brzezinski, one of the perceptions, I think, that has been built about Rob over the last X amount of decades. I mean, you just hear, when you think about Rob Brzezinski or you read about him, it's cap whiz, cap expert. And so that picture that you kind of, or listeners probably conjure in their mind, is like this, to your point, like you're in, a person on the computer crunching numbers all day. But so much of what that job actually entails is negotiating with these major ego, high profile agents who are vouching for their clients. And to do that in an optimal way that garners respect both in the building and throughout the league, you have to have a level of personal feel. You have to have a level of just awareness within a negotiation. And I think sometimes in the context of how Rob Brzezinski is perceived, like, as much as anything else, my impression over the last 4 years is he has a really, really good personal relational feel that would sometimes almost mask the sharpness that he has with some of the numbers and both from a cap and negotiating perspective. But I've had, Nordo, over the last couple of weeks, talk to people who have negotiated with Rob Brzezinski, and the level of respect that some of these agents have for how he's approached some of those situations that are often very tense and very high pressure, I do think are interesting to know and revelatory in terms of how Rob has obviously had the 27-year staying power with this organization.
Alec Lewis of The Athletic, at Alec_Lewis via X. Kwesi, do you think he catches on with an organization this season, or does he just chill for a bit?
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible he does. He has really close ties throughout the league. The two buildings that he obviously has the closest ties with are San Francisco and Cleveland. So I think, any of those organizations that want a pretty, detailed, understanding to San Francisco, like of how an NFC foe is operating and views things, like that to me would make sense. I would say I doubt Kwesi rushes into anything. He is obviously someone who wants to allocate the time with his family that he does. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I would be stunned, Nordo, if I'm at the combine and Kwesi's there just bouncing around. But if over the course of time he does land with an organization in a similar role that he's had in the past of, going through things quantitatively and being a sounding board, having obviously sat in this seat now, wouldn't surprise me at all.
the way that it's been written and reported on, you can tell me. And I'm just curious just how much this stings versus how much he kind of felt like he knew it was coming. Like I feel like in jobs, you have a certain amount of self-awareness where, man, this thing ain't going the right way. And just kind of where his headspace is. He interviewed for the job. A team gave him the opportunity. He doesn't have to apologize for anybody in terms of connecting with a franchise and getting the opportunity to prove that he belongs in the spot. It didn't go well, and now he's going elsewhere. I can't see him, leaving the NFL. That seems preposterous to me. He absolutely could be of value in some aspect of the organization, if certainly not a general manager.
Yeah, I mean, to the initial point there in conversation, I mean, like in all of my discussions with him over the course of the last 4 years, he never hid behind the reality that this is big time business with, driven by results. And if those results aren't met, then there is accountability for that. So, I don't think he would have been blindsided at all by anything other than just returning from the Senior Bowl and the timing after that. But, the only reason for me that he would leave the NFL would be if he had interest in doing something else. And I mean, and have read about him in the past, he is a guy with different interests.
Yeah.
I think so much of his life and kind of his ethos is he's not going to be defined by the NFL. He's going to do the defining himself, and the NFL is a major part of what he loved and wanted to do. And so I would imagine there would be enough self-awareness there to understand that after a season that was built to, go further and deeper in a season that ended the way, that it did, that he would understand the ramifications of that. And yeah, I mean, that's the game you play. When you're a general manager or a head coach of the NFL, I mean, it's always a nice edge given the amount of pressure and stakes that you're under, which is why you get paid the amount that you do.
Absolutely. We're chilling here in purgatory between the Super Bowl and the Combine, as we mentioned, and just kind of a nice breath, if only for a week or two, before the Combine and free agency, et cetera. Have you, maybe you have this whiteboard in your house and you just kind of put, all of your ideas up there. We got, or maybe it's thumbtacks with strings attached, a Beautiful Mind style, code breaking, the whole thing. When you put into perspective what's next for the Purple, levers being pulled contractually to get under the cap, this quarterback conversation has my head spinning. Where do you potentially put in your head, this is going to be the time for this to start happening? It's usually Combine week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I it's my understanding the last couple of weeks the Vikings have done a pretty deep dive on kind of plans and just approach that they're going to take over the next few weeks. The Combine starts really on Sunday of next week, of this upcoming weekend. And then, the legal tampering period that they call it begins March 9th. So, and there are a lot of players whose contracts have escalators and certain guarantees that come to fruition kind of in early March, mid-March. So this next period is definitely where I expect the flurry of activity. As far as the whiteboard, I mean, yeah, my mind is majorly focused on the quarterback conversation, understandably, probably from your standpoint. And it's a really fascinating one. It's been one that I've talked to a lot of people in the league about over the last couple of weeks. So, it's just going to be interesting to see how the Vikings approach it, how that looks, what plans and target they take in trying to make that happen. But yeah, I'd expect the Vikings are supposed to be about $40 million over the cap. They're going to have to do a lot of work to get under that and to create space. It's not crazy hampering because of the amount of levers they can pull, but the quarterback and the cost there is obviously going to play a major role in what's possible.
Yeah, I wasn't. That was one thing that I wasn't necessarily going to go down the road because, frankly, and maybe you feel differently. This is one of the first times where I really don't have a bead on what they're able to do. Maybe it's Kwesi out of the mix and now Rob, and just kind of how they're going, are they giving him and empowering him the decision-making side of things to potentially make this massive future leveraging move? How much do they truly believe in J.J. McCarthy? Because, I'm watching insiders throwing out, it's like, oh, well, Kyler Murray, he'd be a great fit. I don't think so. But then you think about the ramifications if it was a Kyler or another individual, that how much of a competition would it be for McCarthy? And then you hear, Derek Carr might unretire, or, hey, Carson Wentz is going to be fully healthy by week 1. Well, that doesn't necessarily raise the level of the quarterback room. Like, there's this massive spectrum, Alec, in terms of what they could do. And once something happens, then it's almost like you get the whole story in one move. And I'm just a little bit impatient about it. So I cannot freaking wait for really that legal tampering period and such, because I just don't have a bead on it within, again, this broad area of different decisions that mean different things for the future of JJ and for this team.
Yeah, I it's funny. Someone asked me like a couple weeks ago, like, so you're going to do a story on Kyler Murray? I was like, why would I? I'm not the Arizona Cardinals beat writer. I don't know, what am I going to, like, if Kyler Murray ends up here for some reason or another, like, that would be, I'd probably do a story because he'd be a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, and that's how that would work. Now, I would say, to your point, yeah, it's not easy to get a beat on it. I think part of that is because of the ramifications of all of these moves. And I'd say it also because of the amount of teams in the NFL right now that have quarterback uncertainty. So it's like, it's hard to figure out which person is going to land in your musical chair, because really the musical chairs haven't begun. And all of these quarterbacks have representatives that are going to want to position their client the right way. What I would say is this, talking to people, like, there is still, even after this 2025 season, a really like big reverence for the situation that this is. When I'm talking Kevin O'Connell as the head coach and play caller, talking Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison as pass catchers. So that is one thing that has stood out from conversations with people I've had, is like, there is definitely going to be a jockeying for, from representation to try to get their person here, which also obviously clouds who it's going to be. But more than anything else, the person that does land in this seat, and who that person is and what that contract looks like, is going to say with action, I think, almost everything that you need to know about where Kevin O'Connell and this Vikings team views J.J. McCarthy is for the present and the future. That's kind of a takeaway that I have after some conversations leading into this thing.
Yeah, it's so heavy. And then after that, so that's going to pop. And probably sooner than later, at least in terms of post-combine free agency area, pre-draft. And then you just have to go and ace the draft. And you just have to go do that. So fix the quarterback, ace the draft. Rob Brzezinski can just he can clap his hands together, say good work, and then I guess they're going to go hire somebody else to manage all of it and take the onus of it.
Well, I'd say it doesn't have to necessarily be somebody else. That's what I'd say. I mean, Rob Brzezinski is leading this thing in the interim, and if he has interest in doing this job that, to my understanding, he's never really sought from a power standpoint, then I would expect his name to definitely figure into the mix. But, I mean, yeah, the funny thing for me is, and we've talked about this already, Nordo, like, if you are judged on free agency in the draft, 2 months after free agency and in the weeks after a draft, like that, it's an impossible judgment zone.
Yep.
Because if you recall last spring, the moves that the Vikings made to sign Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, you would have probably given the Vikings front office an A for that without seeing how things played out. So, yeah, it's an interesting period that is going to take years probably to evaluate. I know in this era we don't have that amount of time, and people aren't given that amount of time from a judgment perspective. But again, just to kind of broadly look at it, like how they try to answer the confluence of questions that exists right now is going to be fascinating to me. I also will say this, and I'm rambling, but I think there's almost like an inclination from Vikings fans frustrated after 2025 to sit here and be like, why would I really pay that much attention? I'm frustrated, etc. Like, maybe I'm naive, but I don't think the path to having a really competitive team is that crazy far off. If you get mid-level quarterback play, if you improve the run game even further, which is part of the reason they've added some of the staff that they have.
Yeah.
And then if the defense can sustain, like you can definitely see a path to a 10-win team against an easier schedule. And then who knows once you get in the dance. So I know people want the Super Bowl. I totally understand that. But I do, for people to think like this team is all of a sudden now a 4-13 team, given what's happened, I think that's a little probably overly negative of a view. And maybe that's me being too optimistic and rosy, and I've got some time to think about it. But I do want to say that because I do think there is a very clear path as long as the right moves are made.
No, I can see that path too. But it's difficult to have that perspective at times. We are an emotional people, Alec. We are fans, and we want that Lombardi. Very, very, very last thing for you, and I appreciate your time. And I'm not pitting you as a legal expert here, but other than the idea that he could receive a more impartial outcome, anything interesting about the Flores lawsuit being sent to court versus an arbitrator? I don't mean to hit you with that again. I know you didn't go to law school. It's just as that thing, we never hear, we haven't heard anything about it. It feels like in 18 months, and suddenly you get that to pop, so that it sounds like at least that's advancing and maybe has a solution somewhere near the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, feign that I'm an expert on the subject or the process that has led to the ruling that obviously surfaced Friday. What I would say is it will be interesting to kind of ascertain what comes out of that if there is, some information that does surface publicly. And what I would also say is I've seen a lot in the ether a little bit about like, with this lawsuit, that is the presence of this lawsuit is the reason that Brian Flores is not a head coach. And I would say, the head coaching candidacy is it might be a factor, but it is a broad evaluation based upon a lot of different factors. And to think that it's just a 1-for-1 because Brian Flores has this lawsuit, he's not going to be a head coach. I know this might sound generous to owners, but I would say there are other there is a lot of factors at play that would also, influence why certain people are hired and not. So that's what I would say with that conversation. But it'll be interesting to follow the lawsuit, certainly, especially if there's more revelation publicly.
You're the best, man. Thanks for spending some time with me on a Monday, and enjoy the Combine. We'll certainly try to catch up with you and get some tidbits along the way, man. Thanks for what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nordo. You guys enjoy the weather. I mean, holy cow.
Gorgeous.
This is good for this time of year, so I'm enjoying it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
See you later. That's Alec Lewis of The Athletic at Alec_Lewis via X. And we'll continue. I got some text messages I want to hit on here. And I got a couple assistant producers here on a President's Day where we might check in with them. I'll just say that. We might check in with them next segment here. But women's hockey, the Americans in Sweden, USA, up 1-0, just a minute and a half into the second period in Milan. So we'll continue to follow that. Live hockey on a Monday, and we're loving it right here on The Fan.
The Fan.
If you want to chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows, you can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. So let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard text messages, data reply.
What do you think, Brett? Too close for comfort? It's only 1-0 here. Second period.
Surely they'll find one eventually here.
There's got to be the Avalanche. They outshot them. They outshot them 13-2.
Uh-oh.
I think in the first period. Sweden's kind of on a rush right now, though. Uh-oh. Odd man, okay. Ooh, nice. I mean, the blue liners here. Barnes,
Solid.
I think it's, let me see here to verify. Caleb Barnes was the goal scorer, Lee Steckline, and Kelly Panic with the assists. Were Panic and Steckline both Gophers at one point in time?
Pretty sure they're both on the Frost.
I'm showing my super novice college hockey intellect in this moment. To the text message machine, kind of back during the Ryan Carter conversation. How much is the frustration, Brett, about the playoff system in the NHL? Every time we discuss, it feels like 9 to noon, I see those text messages in terms of changing the format. Why are we going to potentially get bounced in the first round by playing a team that otherwise we wouldn't see until the second or third round? How hot is that?
I would say like 90% of hockey fans agree. The only reason that Bettman likes this, the commissioner likes this format, is it builds rivalries. So if you play the Stars in the first round every year, it'll build a rivalry. But it's not competitively fair. If the playoffs started today, the Wild would be in a series with Seattle, would be their first round matchup, the Seattle Kraken. I will take that 100 times out of 100 over, because the Wild are the second best team in the West behind the Avs. So, and then you got Dallas and Edmonton, and then the 4-5 would be Vegas and Utah. That to me is more balanced of a playoff than, well, good luck against Dallas in the first round and Colorado in the second round. And if you get out of that, maybe you'll see McDavid.
So then if it was down to 4 and let's say favorites win, then Wild would face Dallas and the Avs would face Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
I know. I don't know why and that's how it was for years. That's how, and for whatever reason they changed it, and no one's really been a fan of it since.
All right, I'm worried about this. I had, because it's President's Day, Brett, no school for the children today. I didn't bring the baby in.
The best.
I didn't bring the baby in, but I did bring Ava and Stella in. And because it's President's Day, they wanted to find some cool President's Day facts. And they like it. They get to see Uncle Paul when they come in here once in a while. Uncle Paul's not in the mix today. But maybe they get the chance to hear themselves on the radio. So we've done liners and bits in the past. But this is the first time that I have my daughters Ava and Stella in studio. And, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to see how it goes. I've been told they have some cool President's Day facts. Can you help with their microphones, please? All right, perfect. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning, Dad.
How you doing?
Good.
Are you enjoying your time in studio, or is it boring?
It's fun.
It is fun? Okay. Ava?
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, so no school today. You told me that you ladies had some really cool President's Day facts.
Yeah, we do.
And so, man, Abbott's gonna yell at me. Can't wait for the text message here. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to give you guys the opportunity here to tell us a couple on a President's Day.
Okay.
A couple of facts about our presidents. Hang on, Ava. We're going to go, Stella, give us your favorite of those facts that you have in front of you right now.
Well, this one's a little bit weird.
Okay.
President Millard Fillmore fell in love with his teacher, Abigail Powers, and he married her.
Hold on. Millard Fillmore. Millard Fillmore. Married his teacher.
Yep.
I didn't know we were going here.
Scandalous.
I didn't know we were going here with the facts. Okay. Millard Fillmore fell in love with his teacher.
Yeah.
And would ultimately marry her. Now,
Yeah, he did.
Do we know he didn't marry her when he was still a student, right?
I hope not.
It was the 1800s.
I didn't mean
Who
to
knows?
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Stelbell. I appreciate that. All right, Ava.
Okay, so this one's a funny one. It's President Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
FDR, yes. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, yes.
Okay, it says, during a December 1941 White House visit, FDR reportedly entered Winston Churchill's room to discuss the United Nations concept, only to find the Prime Minister naked, fresh from his bath. The famous anecdote highlights their class wartime relationship, with Churchill supposedly quipping, "The Prime Minister of Great Britain has nothing to conceal from the President of the United States." That's funny.
So FDR saw naked Winston.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We shall fight on the beaches. as soon as I get some pants on. That's incredible. What an awesome fact, Ava. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Miller. I thought the Fillmore in Minneapolis, I thought that was named after Millard Fillmore.
I don't know.
I'll have to look that up. Stella, you got one more?
I have two more.
Well, let's. I just need one more from you.
Okay, fine. President William McKinley famously carried a pet parrot named Washington Post that greeted guests and doted on his chronically ill wife, Ida. And he was the first person to use a telephone for campaign purposes and was the first to ride in an automobile.
He was the first president to ride in a car. Yeah. I think it was the Stanley Steamer. Mm-hmm. I think it was early 1900s, like 1901 or 1902 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Nice job, Stella. All right, one more from you, Ava, and then we got a break.
Okay, I'm doing President Harry S. Truman.
Okay.
The S in his name doesn't stand for anything. A compromise between grandfathers Anderson, Shipp, Truman, and Solomon Young. President Harry S. Truman was famous for starting his mornings with a shot of bourbon, specifically Old Grandad or Wild Turkey. And then I have one really good one. In December 1950, Harry S. Truman sent a scathing handwritten letter to Washington Post music critic Paul Hume, threatening him with physical violence for a poor review of his daughter's Margaret's singing performance.
Wow.
Truman called Hume an 8-ulcer man on 4-ulcer play, and wrote that if they met, Hume would need a new nose and beefsteak for black eyes.
You find all that on Google?
Yeah. Yep.
You just get access, and you just have access to Google for everything, don't you?
Yep, I do.
Juicy facts about presidents.
Do we check the tablet?
No.
Mom do that? Okay.
No,
Unbelievable facts, ladies. That's incredible.
We got it from Mom's
computer.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for joining the show today, ladies.
Thank you.
I hope that listeners, whether it's in regard to hockey, whether it's in regard to the NFL with Alec, and in this case, United States presidents, we found some facts. Mm-hmm. Non-controversial facts, by the way. We got naked Churchill. We got bourbon in the morning. What a way to start your day. All right, quickly.
Okay. Ulysses S. Grant smoked up to 20 cigars a day during the war, a habit that contributed to his fatal throat cancer.
That's how he died.
He despised hunting and could not stand the sight of animal blood.
Which is weird, given
that he's a wartime leader.
Indeed. Well, those were amazing facts, ladies. I appreciate you joining. And we're just going to go ahead and cut those mics. I love you, ladies. Thank you for doing that and contributing to the show. The Americans scored again.
One of us, Taylor Heisey.
Taylor Heisey.
Heisey scores.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have to see. We'll see if it works out. If we can either get a cold call or try to get Parker Fox on the line here maybe tomorrow morning and discuss this women's team who midway through the second are now up 2-0 on the Swedes. Winner heads to the gold medal game. So this freight train keeps humming along, and the ladies are up 2-0 after Taylor Heisey gets one in the net. Loving that. When we return, you know what? We'll continue watching this, and we'll do some news with Brett Blakemore when we return to the Fan. Welcome back. 9 to noon, Nordo in for PA. Man, Brett, I'll let my baby girls talk for about 4 or 5. They want to do every segment now, but that's not going to happen.
Once you catch the bug, it's hard to let it go.
They heard their voice in the headphones. They got to talk a little bit. They brought knowledge to 9 to noon, which, well, those of you who love 9 to noon, you know, that can be tenuous from time to time. So at least we had the smartest gals in the room offering some knowledge on a President's Day. That brings us to News to Nord. More news courtesy of Brett Blakemore. News to Nord's always presented by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Feeling the felt all year long. And then live racing kicking off in the spring, CanterburyPark.com. Where are we headed to first, Brett?
Number 1.
Well, we'll head here just to the town, but we'll start here.
Jack Eichel. Now Brady Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk works it back out. Shot by Faber. Score!
Yeah.
Franzreb looked to grab it with the glove, and it gets behind him. Brock Faber gives the United States a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, the U.S. take care of business. They win Group C. They are the second seed in the elimination stage of the tournament. They get a bye. We'll play the winner of Sweden and Latvia. Faber scores a goal. The Wild guys are really showing out for this U.S. club. And then on the other side, the women's game, which we're looking at right now, I'm looking at both the Kachucks taking in the women's game against Sweden. Not as explosive as they usually are, but they're still up 2-0 and out shooting the Swedes significantly. So good stuff from the hockey teams. But did you see the curling controversy from this weekend?
Is it the double touch bit?
The touch bit.
Yeah,
So the whole interaction has gone viral with many words that your two daughters should never use.
That's right.
Between the Canadians and the Swedes, where the Swedes said, I saw you cheat. I'll show you the tape. And then the Canadians' counter to that was bleep you, which is not a very good counter to cheating accusations.
Actually, in a way, now that it's over, I mean, what can he say? I mean, it's undeniable. We're talking about the Zapruder-like film that we've used, the close-up of his pointer finger is touching the stone, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I think he isn't allowed to touch that portion of the stone. And I don't have the rule book in front of me.
I think you can only use the handle to manipulate the stone. And once it's gone, it's gone.
Once it's gone, it's gone. I mean, and so my knowledge of curling, outside of watching the unbelievable run by Mr. Schuster and everybody involved some years ago, 2018 Olympics, and then watching it casually every 4 years during the Olympics since, so that's a total of 3 renditions or incarnations of it. I go to Crooked Pint down in Chaska, and I see people curling, because you have the curling club there, which is cool, but I'm more concerned about the pints than I am about the curling and the stones and the double touching. So I did see the controversy there. It is kind of fun. I mean, in some ways, and this will sound like people joke about curling because you picture that's a game that would not require immense physical skill or athleticism to do, right? You've seen those jokes, just kind of the casual nature of it. This feud does feel like a couple of guys arguing over a game of pool at a bar. It does feel a little bit like that. So, but that's really, I don't have anything else on that. I mean, he touched it. He touched the freaky
thing. He clearly did.
Yeah.
But he had just no response to it besides.
Up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's drama in the Olympics. Curling, of all things.
Number 2.
Did you watch any of this?
And the Kia MVP goes to Anthony Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you want to be not just one of the best, you want to be the best.
Yeah.
How is this trophy a step towards that?
It's a step in the right direction. That's all that is. We chose to compete today, and we came out on top.
You talk about choosing to compete. What do you like most about environments like this? Talking a little trash and going up against the legends of the game.
I ain't gonna lie. Wemby set the tone. He came out playing hard, and, you know, we had to follow that, and we had to pick it up as a red team, and we did that.
You see KD and LeBron guarding you?
Yeah.
Why do you want that matchup?
Yeah, for sure. I want to cook them every time. You know that.
Thanks, Ant.
Thank you.
All-Star MVP, his winning team of the new format of basically 4 mini games that are 1 quarter each. It's fine. It's something different. I mean, it didn't grab me, but I'm not an NBA diehard. So if it grabbed you, that's great.
No, I liked it, and Ant kind of grabbed me, and I don't. It's weird talking about just a game that doesn't matter. Like, and the skills we talked about this in the open. Like, no one cares about the skills competition and all of that. But to the end of just watching these guys, I still, even at 40 plus years old, I still watch exhibitions like that, and it's just it's fun seeing everybody in the mix with these mini games. I thought the mini games themselves provided a more interesting element, or at least you're getting to see different groups at different times versus previous renditions of the All-Star game. And Ant was, I mean, I can't remember it. The in-season tournament, All-Star MVP, like we're a team that's been to 2 Western Conference title games. That's the focus. That's the A topic for this team. This is a cool little getaway and something to fill some time on the weekend wrap on a Monday morning. But in the end, like, the effort and the interest that some of these guys showed at times in the All-Star game, I'm just hoping that everyone's finding their legs underneath them over the course of this week so that we jump back into the mix. I think the team's next. We got Dallas out of the break I'm scrambling, and I know you don't have it because you hate basketball, Brett. But they do host the Mavs on Friday. Like, just need this break to end. Need this team to put the pedal down. No more playing when we want to. No more it is what it is in terms of nightly effort. Just get back in this thing, stretch some wins together, and climb up those charts so that we can host a playoff series and put ourselves in a better spot, hopefully for a third consecutive Western Conference final. Anything else?
I got one more if we want to quickly straddle.
Number 3.
I stumbled across an article on the Four Letter Network proposing trades for many NFL team going into the offseason. Suggested that the Jets go get Kyler Murray. The Bears should trade DJ Moore for Max Crosby, which I thought that sounds like a nightmare to me. But there is one that involves the purple, and it involves a trade with the San Francisco 49ers for Mac Jones. They suggest that the Vikings get Mac Jones and a third-round pick in 2027 and give up a 2026 second-rounder, a 27 fifth-rounder, and a 28 third-rounder for Mac Jones. Your thoughts?
See, this is... Yeah. So I might bring this up during the final hour, and it may come up tomorrow during 9 to noon, and it absolutely will be in vogue once the host returns and we start putting Viking segments together en masse with the combine around the corner. This is exactly what I was talking about with Alec Lewis in terms of this massive spectrum of what you can do with the quarterback spot.
3-0 USA.
What it will tell you. Hey, ladies, let's hear it. Come on.
Spoiler alert.
3-0 USA. I love this country. 3-0 in favor of the Americans. Who scored? Did you see who scored?
I see it's 37. That's not Heisey.
That is. Heisey did not get the brace. If it's 37, that would be... I don't have her on the list here on the roster of the...
What a shot, though.
I'll find it.
Murphy?
That is Murphy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's Murphy. Yeah. Oh, what a snipe. How about that? Well done. Americans up 3-0 on the Swedes in the semifinal. Let me just put a cork in this for now. What we were talking about with Alec Lewis is where we're at with the Mac Jones conversation, and is just the spectrum, the broad range of things that they can do. The Mac Jones thing on paper, Brett, seems ridiculous to me. That does not excite me at all. We're flipping.
That's a lot to give up for a mediocre quarterback. He's just okay.
He's fine. Mm-hmm. He's fine. He deserves to be in the league.
They've had plenty of fine quarterbacks here.
And specifically with Shanahan's system, he's a dog, by the way. I mean, he was out there. He was hurt. He was kind of doing his best impression of Carson Wentz at times last year. He had this foot thing. He had 3 or 4 different injuries, dragging himself off the turf and down the field. And he filled in beautifully for that team, and they needed him to do so. The idea that is the competitive element that's going to raise our quarterback room, and we're flipping effectively. You said we get a third back, but we're flipping it for a second. And then I think we're also giving up, you said, a conditional third, maybe a year or two down the road? A
conditional fifth and a conditional third as well.
Yeah.
And 27 and 28.
Come on, man. I mean, I just
4.
No, thank you. It's already 4-0. All right, we got to pause. Americans are up with 3:50 left in the second. It's 4-0. Another quick goal. Beautiful work by the Americans up on the Swedes. When we return, though, we're going to check in with Dan Hayes of The Athletic, who's in Fort Myers covering the Minnesota Twins. Now that spring training is upon us, we're going to chat with Dan. Plenty of things to get into with the baseball team as we start the final hour here 9 to noon on The Fan.